Lauren, hello,
Yes.
welcome Monday, 11 a.m. Thank you for being with you. I've obviously had about 10 coffees already. Um, but no, we're really excited. Today we've had Netflix on earlier. We
Amazing.
had Elstree Screen Academy on earlier,
Brilliant.
singing your praises.
Oh,
So
bless.
why don't you tell everyone who Sky Studios Elstree is?
Absolutely. Yeah. So lovely to be here. Lovely to see you again, May. So yes, we're Sky Studios Elstree. We are one of the UK's newest film and TV studios. We're based at the bottom of Hertfordshire in that kind of Greater London M25 area where a lot of the big studios sit. And we sit just down the road from BBC Elstree and Elstree Film Studios in Elstree and Boreham Wood, which is essentially about 100 years old now in terms of film and TV production. So it's a kind of historic area in the UK that we sit, and we are a fairly large size studio. We've got 12 sound stages, two massive workshops, and loads of office space. And we tend to host mid to large size film and TV productions.
I see. Okay, so Elstree is a place. It's a
Yes.
town. Is it a town?
Yes, yeah. Boreham Wood is the town. Is
Oh,
Elstree and
Boreham Wood
Boreham Wood is the train
town.
station. It's really strange. There's like two towns close to each other. Everyone calls it Elstree, but it's actually we're based in Boreham Wood. It's confusing.
Boreham Wood. Okay. No, because I always used to hear Elstree and I didn't know whether that was the name of the studio or which
Yes.
makes sense. And then so within Elstree, there's Sky Studios,
Yes.
there's BBC, did you say?
Yes, BBC Elstree, where EastEnders is shot, and then you've got Elstree Film Studios, which is one of the oldest in the UK, and things like the original Paddingtons, The Crown was shot there, The Chase is shot there, Strictly Come Dancing's shot there. So there's loads and lots of TV, but they've predominantly done film as well as previously.
Okay,
So.
amazing. And what are the type of shows that Sky Studios does?
Yeah, so you can see some behind me. So it is the release of Wicked this week, last week.
Woo!
So Wicked was our first production, Wicked and Wicked for Good shot back to back. And we've had Paddington in Peru, we've had Jurassic World Rebirth, and we tend to kind of host those large films. But we've also had some smaller TV productions in as well.
Okay, amazing. Well, I'm sure everyone will be rushing to see Wicked this week. And did you have slides did you want to show?
I
Or
do, yes, I do.
amazing.
Cool. Let me just share those. Say, cool. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm going to do a little session on CV writing today. It's kind of strange in film and TV. Lots of other companies when you're applying for entry level programs and lots of those kind of entry level opportunities. Actually, lots of companies in other industries are moving away from CVs, just due to things like AI and kind of recruitment practices. But actually, in film and TV production, CVs are still really key to kind of getting a job and kind of putting your name out there. And it's kind of your calling card. And it's one of the things that I see a lot of. I see thousands of CVs every year, and particularly for our Future Talent program, which is our internship opportunity that we do every year, essentially as a paid years program. We see CVs for that, and that's part of the kind of application process. So I wanted to run through them really quickly today. There's a great resource as well on the Eric app on our profile if you want any more information, but I just thought I'd do like a little whistle stop tour and hopefully some time for questions if we get there. So yeah, how, you guys, like, how do you feel about CVs? You're welcome to just put some reactions in the chat. Is it something you're worried about? Is this something you really want to focus on over the next few years, depending on your kind of where you are in your education or career? I think people do worry a lot about CVs and they spend a lot of time on them, which is great. But here's hopefully some tips and tricks to help you get through it. So the kind of biggest difference, I guess, between creative CVs or what we call production CVs and normal CVs is how you tailor it. That's the main thing. It will look a little different to a normal CV for other sectors or other entry programs. So I'm going to give you some examples of things. So, for example, on a production CV, we would be looking for things like skills and experience over education. So when you're actually structuring it, we want to see skills and experience first, and then maybe education a bit further down. So that could include things like any part-time jobs you've got, particularly if you're just starting out, any days on set. If you're at that level, brilliant, then definitely put that in. Any volunteering, any short films or student films you've made, anything like that is really great to put in. Always put industry irrelevant experience first if you have it. If you don't yet have it, that's fine. Depending on where you are, like I say, in your career, you might not have started that yet. In which case, can you include things like customer service roles, part-time jobs in coffee shops, supporting theatres behind the scenes? Anything like that is all really good experience to put on. Um, do make sure you're using key words from the job description. Now, sometimes in film and TV, there isn't a job description because you might be emailing and somebody that you've kind of a contact that you found, or maybe on LinkedIn, you found somebody who works on a production and you want to just email your CV in, and you might not have an actual job to apply to. In which case, have a look online, particularly at the Screen Skills website. There's a really great section on there called Skills Checklists, and they are essentially, there's loads of job descriptions already there. So they're kind of already created for you. So you can have a good look through some of those entry level jobs, and I'll point to a few in a little bit as well. GDPR, so there is a data protection thing within particularly CVs. Technically, it is personal information about you. So you might just be good to have a little statement at the bottom to say something like, I'm happy for my CV to be shared for recruitment purposes. And that essentially means then I can share your CV if you were sending it to me, or if you're sending it to whoever else in the industry, they're actually allowed to share your CV then. And that's quite a normal thing in film and TV to share CVs. So if you send it to somebody and they're like, well, I haven't got any jobs right now, but I do know somebody who's crewing up somewhere else in the country, can I send it across? That's very normal in film and TV to do that. You don't need to put any sensitive and really sensitive information on there. So things like your date of birth, you don't need to worry about, and your full address, we don't need that. But we do need where you're based. So if you were based in London or Manchester or Scotland, then just put where your base is. And if you know of someone else, so let's say, I don't know, your aunt lives in Wales and you can get there, or you can happily stay in a spare room with her permission. Then you could also say based in Wales too. So then you can think about productions tend to film all over the place. They might be in different locations all over the country, even if they're based at a studio down here. So yeah, just gives you a bit more flexibility and make it look creative. This is the creative industry, so a little bit of color is great. You don't need to go crazy, but just something to show that you've got some kind of idea of style or like theme would be brilliant. And absolutely no more than 2 pages. Try and keep it to one, particularly if you're early on in your career. Don't worry too much about having to make it look like you've got loads. Actually, it's better if it's one page and it's really succinct and you've got all kind of your bullet points really laid out. So try and keep it to one page. The people that you're sending these CVs to are very, very, very busy, and they will get lots of CVs in their inbox. So keep it as easy to read and as simple and succinct as you can. That's definitely the worthwhile thing to think about there. If you have a driving license, definitely put that on. It is such a big factor in film and TV, getting to locations, driving around studio sites, for example, you might need a driving license. If that's not an option for you, and you can't afford it, or it's just not something you can do right now, that's absolutely fine. But just be aware of where you're aiming for then. Think about some of the production bases around the UK and try and find studios that you can get to via public transport, and kind of try and target productions in those kinds of areas if you can. And then any health and safety qualifications you've got, any additional languages you've got, yeah, definitely put those down. And if you're 18 and above, you can also support yourself by doing some of the free Screen Skills modules, which are brilliant and will give you a really good understanding of the industry, and will help us as an industry know that you're really passionate and you've got lots of knowledge around it. And then just an example, that one on the right there, and that's from Canva. And Canva can be really good if you, like me, are a kind of visual thinker and creative thinker, and you really want to lay it out nicely. I'm not brilliant in Word. It really annoys me, all the formatting. So Canva's just a nice way to do it, and it helps you really, again, make it succinct. So hopefully that's a little help and a tip there. So like I say, do have a little look at our tips and tricks and guide for CVs, for production CVs. It gives you kind of 7 tips and then an example CV and some really good links and things to help you develop your experience, particularly if you're just starting out and you don't feel like you have anything to put on your CV that's relevant. There's some really good ones out there. So do have a little look. I'll flick over to that in a minute, that guide, just to give you an idea. And then opportunities. So, think about some of the things you might be applying to. There's various programs out there. So ours is a internship, and it's a 12 months paid internship at the studio. We also have entry routes into the industry like apprenticeships, internships, placements, writing schemes. There's various um, ones out there. Lots of the big companies, Amazon, ITV, BBC Channel 4, Sky, we have our own apprenticeships as well. But then there's some smaller ones as well around the country. So do look out for them. A lot of these companies I know are on Eric, so go and follow those companies and go and check out those kinds of programs because that also might be what you're using your CV to apply for. Other things like skills boot camps. So we partner with a local partner in Hertfordshire and Buckinghamshire, but these skills boot camps exist all over the country. So if you're in a different area, do have a look. And then some useful resources, some good places to have a look for work. So where you might send your CV, things like Film London Stride or Production Base or Film Base, the Talent Manager are really good. Things like Loving Your Work on LinkedIn is really great. So just some of these kinds of companies that often will promote some of the jobs in film and TV. And then other couple of freelance toolkits out there. There's one from Screen Skills and there's one from Filming in England. And again, both of them have references to how to create a good CV, some of the entry level options, how you could get into film and TV, how you could approach people who work on film and TV productions, just to give you that kind of in. Um, and then we've got time for questions. So I've whizzed through that content. But
Oh, well, thank
hopefully we
you,
can
Lauren.
answer some of your burning questions
Yeah.
because I know CVs are one of the things that people really struggle with, and it's not always easy to get it totally right. So don't worry.
No, but that was fantastic. It's so great to have like really specific things that you can
Yeah.
look at. And I don't know whether people can actually look at other people's CVs. Is there somewhere you can have a look at other people's CVs?
Yes, yeah, actually. So you can, if you look on Filming in England, that website, they have a crew database. So you can sign up when you're 18 to be a crew member yourself, but then you can also go and see what like where other people um live in terms of like you could sort of like say, well, I'm looking for crew in Hertfordshire or Manchester or whatever, and then it brings up other crew members, so you can sort of see other people's CVs.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, yeah, so that's quite a good one. Again, the obviously the example one I've given is based on a real CV, and I can sh quickly just share if I just quickly share the guide as well. That might be
Oh yeah,
useful
if you
just to
put that in the
quickly.
chat.
I'll just share my screen as well quickly just to show. So
Yes.
there's lots of tips here. And then right at the bottom, there's an example one. So this is sort of an example entry level CV. But similarly, the Filming in England entry level guide also has a couple of different CV examples, just to help you if you're not sure about layout or kind of how to write things. But hopefully that helps.
Hmm. Okay, fantastic. Well, where can people get that again? The guide. I know it's on the Eric app, but
Yes.
is it also on your website?
It is, but it's embedded in a, so it's easier to go through the Eric app if you,
It's
that makes
easier to go
sense.
through the Eric app.
It is
Okay.
easier to go through the Eric app, and there's also there's an article about it as well, so it kind of summarizes it nicely. But it gives you some of the tips and tricks, and look, even things like the Screen Skills checklists are linked here, the Screen Skills website. How to write credits if you've got some
Mhm.
short films or student films that you've started and you want to write them on your CV, but you're not sure how to format that. It gives you that as well. So yeah, this is the guide. This is the one I would say have a little look at first. And there's also a bit about kind of how to develop work experience or the kind of screen skills modules and some health and safety modules as well. So it's
Fantastic.
additional stuff.
Well, the questions are coming in thick and fast, Lauren.
Good, great.
Okay, so um, Cordelia has asked, what about non-relevant experience? How can she include that? So she's worked in retail
Yep.
for a few years. So how could she be talking about that
So
in
that's definitely relevant experience. It's not industry experience, but if you haven't had any experience yet, then definitely retail is a great thing to start with. So you would just write that as a normal kind of job title. You'd put the title, the company, and how long you were working there, for example, and then maybe some bullet points that are relevant to the skills that you've learned. So things like problem solving, working under pressure, getting up early, dealing with customers and complaints. They're all relevant skills that you would look for in film and TV. Communication, teamwork, problem solving are our top three skills. Definitely, particularly with on-set roles. So I would just make sure that in the bullet points talk about some of that in very short bullet point sentences, notes almost. You don't need to write a massive essay about it, but yeah, just some sort of sentences to help you there.
Mm. No, that's a good idea. Like thinking about comparing it to a film
Yeah,
set.
yeah,
Like how can you compare what you're doing in retail to a
yeah.
film set, if that helps. Okay, so we've got a question here from Georgina and some year 13s.
Brilliant.
So they would like to ask more information about sending CVs to people on LinkedIn rather than waiting for jobs to be advertised. Could
Yeah.
you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So lots of jobs in film and TV aren't advertised. They are freelance roles and they'll often be kind of through the studio or through that might be advertised through WhatsApp groups, maybe, but it will be about who you know, and that's still a little bit of the industry is like that. And so to kind of develop your network is a key way to do that. And that can just be watching your favorite TV shows, looking at the credits and finding people in those areas you're interested in, maybe Googling them. They will probably have what's called an IMDb account. So they'll have a profile with all of their credits on it, and they may be on LinkedIn. They may be on Instagram, particularly if they're in some of the craft roles. And that can be a case of kind of writing an intro email, just introducing yourself on what you're interested in and asking for advice. That's where I would start. Ask for advice about how to get into film and TV and then see where that conversation goes. They might be really busy and not be able to answer that, that's quite common because they are on set or they might be shooting, but maybe follow it up in a couple of months' time and just ask again. Particularly, if you're think about some of the things that might be filming in your area. So if you're up in Manchester, look at who was working on Brassic, or if you're in Birmingham, think about like Peaky Blinders. So look for where productions have been in your area and see if you can find anybody in the credits that you are interested in finding more about. And that's where I would start. And then you can think about sending your CV in.
100%, 100%. And I think it's often not that there's going to be a job there and then. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't say in the message, I'm looking for a job. Can you get me a job today?
yeah,
Because people are very busy. They're doing their, jobs. But what you want to do is be top of mind for
yeah,
when there is an opportunity. And then they'll be like, be like, oh yeah, Lauren, remember this lovely girl, Lauren emailed me, DM'd me on LinkedIn like a couple of months ago. Let me get back to her. So I think it's like making the message friendly, linking it to some of their work,
yeah,
stroking their ego a bit, being
yeah,
like, I'm based in your location, really love the shows you worked on, like you're hugely inspirational. If you ever need, support, like here's my CV, all of that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
like because people have done that to us at Eric, and that's who we actually go to first, is like who has contacted us, who has actually asked us or told us that they're interested. And we love to see that passion. So if you do that to like 50 different people on LinkedIn, hopefully one of them in the next couple of months is going to be looking for an intern or runner.
yeah.
And I've heard that that does work.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
exactly it. That's a good approach.
and just be nice,
Yeah.
don't do a boring generic message either, just saying. Okay, so how do you write about freelance work in a CV?
Yeah, so then again, use the guide to help you. There's lots in there about how to write credits up, how to talk about freelance work, depending on what it is. But you'd usually write the kind of role, the project it was on. So if it's not film and TV, maybe it's an event, or if you're a graphic designer, maybe it's a company or whatever it is, and then the kind of time frame. If it's the whole production, you would tend to put like the months. If it's what's called dailies, and dailies are a really good way to start on a film set. And essentially, you might be working for a day at a time or a couple of days. And your contract might be slightly different to what a kind of a normal contract in film and TV might be. So you could be working for 8 weeks, for example, on a TV show. But a daily, you might put just dailies if it's a couple of days. And then you would write literally a couple of bullet points of kind of what your responsibilities were and what you did. If you are running out of space, then just decrease those. And particularly if you've got lots and lots of runner work or you've got lots of work that's very similar, don't feel like you need to repeat yourself. Just pick out the different things from each of those roles, and hopefully that helps. But yeah, the guide helps, and also look at filming in England, look at screen skills resources. There's lots there.
Amazing, thank you. We have a question about someone who is pivoting, who wants to pivot into the
Mm,
industry. So a bit older than school leaver or graduate,
great.
and she comes from a traditional corporate career. Um, what any advice do you have for her to kind of pivot into the industry?
So similar advice. I think about what experience you've had that is relevant to film and TV production. So, have you managed any people? Have you dealt with any budgets? Have you had any responsibility for anything? And then go back to some of the key skills. Again, have a little look at the skills checklist on the Screen Skills website and pick some of the roles you're interested in that kind of match your skill set. And then that might help you think about how to talk about your experience. You can apply for things like the skills boot camps are a really good pivot way in. They're sort of 2 weeks of free training. Um, Depending on the structure, some people might do them slightly longer. And they're really good for career changes. So people who've had maybe a bit more experience somewhere else and want to get into film and TV. So that's a good place to have a little
Yeah,
look.
I 100%
Um,
agree. The skills boot camps, because I think she's saying that a lot of internships and apprenticeships are for school leavers,
yeah,
graduates, but there are some government skills boot camps. If you actually just go on the government website, you should be able to find them.
brilliant.
And then international students, do you have any recommendations for international students who can bring in diversity, unique and strong voices with years of experience? And how can they reflect that on their CV?
Oh, good. This is a good question. Yeah, I mean, similarly, very similar things. Like think about it certainly might be worth looking at the Screen Skills website to find out a bit more about how film and TV industry is structured in the UK because it can look slightly different to other areas. I mean, depending if you're international right now and you can get home, also have a look at like what production's happening in your area. If you do have a base elsewhere outside of the UK, lots of locations are used around the UK, around the world. So see if you can do anything there, and then also look at the UK industry too. Um, Similarly, pick out your experience that you could relate to productions. Again, skills boot camps might be a good way in for you, particularly if you've had previous experience. Productions, are very diverse, vibrant places. Often they are in different locations. So it does help if you can speak other languages. Make sure you put that on your CV. Yeah, I think there's some good things in there. Hopefully you can take away.
100%. And, the same as we were saying before, like connecting with people on
Yeah,
LinkedIn, maybe trying to find wherever you're from, whether you're from Brazil or China, or, are there any crew members from your, country that you could
yeah.
get in touch with? And again, be like sending them a nice message and saying, would love to work with you. Um, we have a question here about sports media.
Mm,
And I think the question here is the film and TV CV still applicable for sports productions and media?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So again, just go and find jobs kind of the specifications that are similar to the jobs you're interested in. So if it is kind of entry level in broadcast engineering or outside broadcast or sports broadcasting, then go and see if you can find roles similar to that, that then you can really focus on what the skills are that they're looking for. Probably it's going to be slightly more technical, just from my understanding, but um, there's lots out there. So yeah, but just tailor your CV to that particular area or a job. Obviously, if you're into sports, then hopefully that says, there's lots of that on your CV. You talk about any sports teams you follow or why you like that particular area, those kinds of things are really great. And then do look for programs in those areas too, so things like Discovery, Sky Sports obviously have a junior production program and various programs too there. You can have a look at the Sky Careers page for a bit more information there, and then yeah, go and look at where the kind of sports programs are if you're looking for those specifically.
Amazing. Thank you, Lauren. Well, before we let you go, what is the best thing about working at Sky Studios?
I mean the productions. So we as a studio, we host these productions. So we're a bit like a hotel where productions come and rent space. So every day, every week, every month looks different where a production's coming in or left, or they're shooting, or they're on location, or so sort of glimpsing the behind the scenes bits are great. Like, like seeing Wicked. I got to see all of those sets and some
So
of the
cool.
amazing costumes and things before anyone else did. And so it's like those little moments where you're like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. Like, this is crazy. It's those kind of pinch me moments.
Did you
And
get to
just the
do bump into celebrities?
Yes, you often do, and you have to be really cool about it. So you can't go up because they're at work. So you can't go up and disturb them. But yeah, I think also just seeing all of the people in the workshops, all of the craft skills that go into creating the costumes and the set and the props. Like it's an amazing level of detail and thought that goes into it. So seeing those things, there, yeah, the bits I love.
Oh, wow. Well, that
Very
sounds
cool.
amazing. Well, thank you